Our final speaker to take the stage is Christian Ray, founder and CEO of Limited. Limited has reimagined the art e-commerce landscape by empowering artists to promote and sell verifiable editions of their work globally. To tell us more about Limited's vision, let's welcome founder and CEO Christian Ray.
Thank you. I have one question for you real quick. Did it hurt to say high speed?
TDS is great. It's the other guy.
It's the other guy. Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. As Shannon said, I'm Christian, the CEO and co-founder of Limited, and together tonight with my co-founder Kyle up front, you guys all know him, we get the pleasure of introducing you to our startup. Now, before I get started, I want to send a quick thank you to the EdCo team, to Brian, Nicole, and Megan, for producing the event tonight and giving me the opportunity. I'd also like to thank Worthy for the food, the venue, and of course, the beer, which is most important. Last but certainly not least, all of you for giving me the next 10 minutes to share a little bit more about what we're building. Now, when it comes to startups, or any business for that matter, there are two things that every successful company must have. First, it has to solve a problem, and second, it has to have a passionate team that's just crazy enough to pull it off. And fortunately for us, we have both. But let's start with the problem that we're solving. Selling art is hard. Talk to any artist you know, they'll tell you this is true. The stigma of the starving artist is 100% real. In fact, only 5% of artists today make over $100,000 a year, with 85% making $25,000 or less annually. And while many have been able to grow their audience online, very few know how to actually monetize that audience. Sadly for all of us, that means more and more artists drop out of their trade, they get real jobs, and we miss out on their beautiful creations that they otherwise would have made. And that is exactly what drives our mission. Our mission is to empower and educate artists to sell more art so they can end the struggle of the starving artist for good. So how can we achieve this mission? Well, along with myself and my Just Crazy Enough team, I bring 23 years of experience in technology and marketing to Limited. Learned on my sometimes bumpy and sometimes smooth path through the internet business landscape. My career started at Fujifilm in Rochester, New York, just after the dot-com bubble burst, and during the peak of the digital photography revolution. After 11 years at Fujifilm and 3 more at G5 here in Bend, I took the leap into entrepreneurship, where for the last 9 years, I've helped businesses of all sizes, including startups, grow and scale online. Now, my journey has given me some pretty amazing opportunities, really a front row seat to see some incredible innovations take place. Watching the digital camera completely transform the photography industry. Or the smartphone give people the ability to take and share photos instantly across the world in just a snap. Today, something that sounds pretty pedestrian, but at the time, it was revolutionary. And whether it's the digital camera or blockchain and AI, there's just something special about watching innovation unfold. And the more that I watched, the more that I fell in love. And now, other than innovation, of course, my beautiful wife and my 3 daughters, and yes, I said 3 daughters, please say a prayer for me. There's only one other thing that I have experienced in this world that has captured my attention in a similar way. Art has this unique ability, if you find something that speaks to you, to grab a hold of you and never let go. Artists' ability to tell the story of the human existence through their creative genius is incredible. And today, the art market is experiencing an incredible amount of disruption. Ripe with opportunities and peril at every turn, it's harder and harder for artists to know where to focus their energy to grow their career. So how is Limited going to help artists navigate this landscape? Like most entrepreneurs, we have a lot of great ideas, but of course, you need to start with one. And since we really believe in real physical art in the real world for real humans, that is where our MVP story begins. We're building the next generation of limited edition art online. Starting with limited edition print drops, our marketplace platform will deliver automation and authenticity, scarcity and quality, so our artists never, ever have to work for this dude. Let's be honest, nobody really likes this guy, right? So we'll equip our artists and empower them to use using technology, automation, and a roadmap to add an average of $125,000 a year to their online sales, empowering our artists to stay artists as long as they want. Artists like Megan, one of our early adopters, she loves selling limited edition prints online but hates logistics. She's tried a couple print-on-demand platforms, but was burned by quality. And with her reputation on the line, she just can't risk it. So she's forced to process her orders manually. And I'm talking like email me a JPEG and print it and ship it to my customer, right? So this, of course, wastes a ton of time and leads to a lot of lost sales. And of course, she knows there just has to be a better way. So let me show you how it works. First, she uploads her art and selects a product. Next, she sets her pricing and edition information and optionally enables our AI-driven price automation engine. Finally, she customizes the accompanying certificate of authenticity and publishes her art for sale. When she makes a sale on our platform, the art's owner is automatically registered on our ledger and a digital and physical COA is issued for provenance. So that's our focus. We're building real art, real value for real humans who want to own physical art with authenticity and provenance built in, all while staying true to our mission of helping artists sell more art. Now, since I presume most of you aren't full-time artists, I'd like to share a brief history of the art world so you can see how powerful verifiable authenticity can really be. Now, it's pretty well known that in the art world, crazy stuff happens all the time, which honestly is what makes it so interesting for a couple entrepreneurs that love hacking new markets. However, the last few years have been especially bananas. And this is exactly what it looks like. This is a banana duct taped to a wall that sold at Art Basel Miami in 2019 for $120,000. They're still looking for the banana. No one knows what happened to it. So at the time, that was pretty crazy until this happened. Do you guys remember when NFTs took over the world? Now, I, like most of you, so much so that at their peak, the market cap in May 2022 was $29 billion for NFTs alone. So the next part is where I'd like to have a little fun. I'm going to show you guys some art. I'm going to ask you to tell me what it is and how much it sold for. And even if you have no idea, just guess anyway. We'll have some fun with it. So first up is this one. Any ideas? What is it and how much did it sell for? Pink cotton ball. All right. So this is an NFT actually by an artist named Pac, and this sold for $91.8 million in December 2021. All right, one more. It's a little bit blurry. Yeah, more people recognize this one. This is Beeple's Everyday, and it sold at auction by Christie's for $69.8 million in March 2021. Now, watching this all unfold, really in utter disbelief, I only had one natural reaction, which was a resounding WTF. But like most bubbles, whether it's the tulip craze of the 17th century, the dot-com bubble in the 90s, or NFTs, eventually they all go pop. But like most trends, if you're paying attention, after the dust settles and the smoke clears, there's something to be learned. Consumers will tell you where the value is if you watch closely. And if NFTs and blockchain had taught us anything, it's that the art story, its scarcity, and its record-proving authenticity and ownership can dramatically increase its value. So our go-to-market strategy kicks off with the release of our MVP in Q2 this year. We'll prove our model and market to validate product market fit, where we'll simultaneously recruit 100 select artists to run limited drops on our platform. Now this model, you can do the quick math, right? $125,000 a year times 100 artists, that's $12.5 million in volume that we'll process on our platform, enabling them to experience more success from their art while giving us exposure to their audience for a cost of acquisition that we really like. Another part of the art market that we really like is the size. It's absolutely massive, 69 billion worldwide in 2023. And so the question is, of course, how do we capture our share? Our revenue strategy is pretty simple. We take 5% on transactions, we average about 30% margin on our print sales, and eventually we'll roll out a SaaS model when we have a feature set that justifies the ask. Now listen, I'm really excited about what we're building personally. I've been a fan of art for a long time. I caught the bug at Fujifilm early in my career, but I'm even more excited about the team that I've put together to take this to market. A mentor of mine early in my career told me to be successful, you need three things. First, you need a really good team. Second, you need to work a lot. Third, you need to get a little bit lucky. So for me, knowing that the team was first on the list, I set out to build one that would dramatically increase our chance for success. A team of builders that are aligned on our vision, have market expertise, and are just crazy enough to pull this thing off. My co-founder, Kyle, he leads our roadmap and our engineering team, but most importantly, he keeps my big aspirations back here on Earth so we can deliver one goal at a time. And Tor, a longtime friend, one slide late there, longtime friend and an award-winning designer and collector, brings a lifetime of our expertise to our team. Along with Tor, Mehdi, Louis, and Hill give us a really strong founding team to go to market. And now, of course, the ask of you. Well, first, we appreciate your feedback. We're always learning, we're always listening, always trying to get better. Second, we need artists. We're looking for artists that are full-time in their career, are not exclusively gallery represented, and are looking to grow their sales. And then lastly, of course, if you're an accredited investor, we'd like to eventually keep you updated on our progress and invite you to partner with us to scale our model. Then finally, scan this QR code. On the other end is a Google form. We'd love you to sign up for updates. I promise I won't spam you. I'll just tell you about what's going on, all the good, the bad, and the ugly that goes into building our startup. And then lastly, thank you guys. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present tonight, and I look forward to taking your questions.
Kyle, this is so cool. So how do you pick the artists?
Yeah, so a lot of artists that have a profile have demonstrated some success online with selling prints, A is required, have some form of an audience that we can help them leverage on social media, and then are willing to kind of try new things and aren't totally into the dark side, which is they're going to make $1 million on NFTs.
And so they have to be producing new work.
Totally.
Yeah.
On a pretty regular basis, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And Shannon, sorry if I could invite my co-founder Kyle
Yeah,
to
come on
stage
up.
with me too, because if it gets too geeky, I'm going to default to him.
Yeah, and I actually called you Kyle. I was like, get Kyle up here, but
Yeah,
we got
okay.
Kyle, we got Christian. Okay. Questions from the audience for these two? Yes, in the back.
So real-world assets are like a big one right now, and the challenge has always been how do you actually tie the real-world asset to the actual asset?
Yeah.
Why are you going to be able to?
Okay, so real world assets are a really big deal. How do you tie that to the actual product?
Like it needs trust.
Yeah, how do you, it needs trust. Why do you have
Yeah,
trust?
so I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll let Kyle answer the rest. But I think primarily for us in real life, right, it's training for a reason online and in human spaces, right? Because people like to hold on to stuff, right? People have seen a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of crazy valuations happen, and they're like, it was here and now it's gone, and what happened to all my money, right? So that's our focus, like real life, real human, people that actually want to collect things. And limited editions for me are kind of like the gateway drug to actually buying originals, right? And so we can provide a lot of value by growing the profile for our artists, not only with helping them sell their originals, but also helping grow their profile so they can get brand deals, right? And that's a big part of how they make money. But technically, I'll let Kyle answer the rest of that question.
All right, well, getting right to the heart of the matter, you hit on the biggest problem that we have, right? From a technical perspective, it's a really hard problem to solve, and in that sense, we're not trying to solve it right away, but rather see what the market demands. So how much potential fraud is there where we have to, depending on how many resources we have to put into R&D in this problem. So on a really deep perspective, there are some kind of cryptographic methods that we can utilize certain pixel types like within the pictures that we can embed that ideally on a copy of the print, unless it's a massively high quality copy, would not come through, and we can utilize that to actually link that physical piece of art. But how deep we have to go in that is kind of yet to be seen. So the starting place is through the COA and through a couple methods that we're exploring right now. If this becomes such a problem, like with the NFTs, where the abuse of that technology has become widespread because of the absolute massive amount of money, we'll continue to explore and do R&D in terms of how deep we have to get into, very, very technical and specific ways of managing authenticity on a really, really deep level. Hopefully, it's not that big of a problem. So really, from the beginning, it's yes, if someone really, really wanted to commit a piece of fraud on a piece of art, there are ways to do that. And we're just going to continue iterating, finding the right technology to actually make sure that can never happen in the future. But not something we're launching MVP with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how is that different than NFTs? Like, what is the COA? Is it a piece of paper? Is it?
How is it different from NFTs? What
Yeah,
is
so
the
there will be a
COA?
digital and physical piece of paper. So a piece of paper gets actually sent with the piece of art that they will have. There will also be a digital NFT that's attached to their account. Again, eventually this will become more of a problem when we start actually opening up a marketplace and there's more ability to trade and sell in a verified way through the platform. And so that is on our roadmap. For the time being, not as big of a problem, but that gives us a little bit of time to solve this from a technical issue because, like I said, you hit on probably the most intense technical problem of that entire process and something that we have been exploring consistently for a long time.
Yeah, we're not using, just to rehash on that, we're not using blockchain actually.
Microphone.
Just to rehash on that, we're not using blockchain very intentionally. No. A digital signature is a hash, an ID that's created by an API that then got turned into blockchain, right, with the financial model behind it. So we've talked about it, we've thought about it, we've looked at it a lot. I said, we definitely need it, and then he talked me out of it, basically is how that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So, like, it's a maybe for us right now, right?
So sorry if I completely missed that of why we're not using a specific blockchain, but essentially a publicly available, read-only, immutable database we can build ourselves without having to kind of slap the sticker on of this specific technology. And that's what we're starting with until I would love to talk and figure out if you have a very specific use case of why you think that one works. But for us, the value add and what the actual use case is doesn't necessarily call for us just like kind of utilizing this technology for what we're doing.
It's a great question from the 8th tallest man in Bend. Good to see you. Good to see you. I know. Well, the population has grown, so the numbers have changed. 8th is not bad. You know, it's not bad. It's still very tall. Okay, any other questions? Yes, I think I have one in the back. Are you? Okay, okay.
We're not doing this.
Your presentation talked about selling prints.
Yep.
What are you selling like other art media, like oils or sculpture?
Yeah, this is a great question.
Yeah,
So you're
so-
talking about selling prints. Are you interested in also selling other media, oils and watercolor or sculpture or whatever?
Yeah, so there's a, everyone that has Apple Pay knows that there's an NFC reader in a phone, right? Like a LiDAR scanner, only not quite as cool. You can use to pay and check out at the store. You can also use that to verify something via a digital signature embedded on a chip called an NFC tag, right? So that's one of my other crazy ideas that said, we definitely need this for MVP. And Kyle said, do we really though? So absolutely, we are interested in doing physical limited editions. There's some really cool artists doing some really cool stuff with physical object limited runs. But again, on our roadmap, right? So we want to really stay focused on a highly scalable model to sustain our business in a market so that we can do whatever we want, right? And we'll have learned a lot along the way.
And these prints could be like a print of an oil painting.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think just expanding on that, one thing that Christian mentioned was a little bit of AI that we're starting with in our pricing model. One of the other things is just in terms of the entire process of our MVP, we're going to be collecting a lot of data. And what we're going to be utilizing that for, kind of for future roadmap, you're getting a sneak peek, is figuring out how best to price things dynamically in a limited edition sense, whether that is a limited edition print or even an original. So that can be expanded into all different types of mediums, all different types of sales, whether it's, like Christian always likes to say, one of his favorite ones that we're going to look for in the future is sneakers. I don't know if anyone here is actually into the sneaker market, but that is absolutely huge. And so utilizing the data that we gather and the kind of knowledge that we can garner from that data, over time we can expand into all different types of sales, all different types of mediums, and utilize a lot of what we're going to do now to build the core value of the business into what is going to be long-term roadmap items.
When you were talking, I thought sneakers could work on this thing for sure. People are into it. It gets big.
They really
I
are.
do have a question related to that. What do you have a sense of what the range would be in terms of dollar amount for these pieces?
It's going to range a lot, but Christian has the expertise there.
Yeah, so really we're looking at something that's accessible for everyone that has gone through the first purge of their art purchases, right? After college, just like MDF board furniture, you kind of grow up and grow out of your current art collection, right? It all ends up in the garage collecting dust, and then you're like, I actually have nice stuff now. Like I might want to put something that I'm proud to talk about on the wall. And so you look around and you're like, yeah, that's kind of cool, that's kind of cool. But then you find some artists and you really like to them and their art speaks to you and they're like, the original's 10, 20, 50, $100,000 and you're like, yeah, maybe next year, right? Maybe my kids don't need those sports programs, I'll just buy this art instead, But honestly, it's anywhere from the $200 to $500 range is typically what we see these limited edition prints run for. One of the biggest differentiators that we have is that we're working with some art labs that I know from my experience in the industry that aren't printful, they're not printify, they're not high volume guys. And the high volume guys just can't produce fine art certified quality print using aqueous inks on like the highest end paper because they're trying to sell random illustrations on Redbubble to everyone in the world, right? So that's the white space that we want to occupy first.
Now, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I might buy a print and then take 14 years to frame it. Will you have an opportunity for people to order it framed?
Eventually.
Yeah, we've definitely heard that problem before. Framing is definitely interesting. So it makes cost of shipping 40x, essentially, if you add a frame. So you're talking about shipping it anywhere in the United States for under $40, or if it's large enough, you're talking about having to crate it and spend $500 for shipping.
Here's a hack. You can buy it a ticket on Alaska, and I think it's 50.
There you go.
You
There
could
you
think
go.
about that.
That's
I
a
know
knowledge
someone
bomb
who's
from
done it.
Shannon.
Okay, one more question. Do we have one more question? Okay, yes. Yes. No, I think you should do it. Just hit it.
So, speaking of framing, the other thing I was thinking about was that it's very possible that in the near future, we're all dealing with screens on walls. So printing, maybe have a kind of limited life.
Okay. So Mr. Future has a question. He says that maybe it's possible in the future we'll have like screens on our walls, and so then we would convert to having art that would be on screens. Is that? Oh, he's saying it is. I mean, not at my house, because my house is just too dusty for that, really. But okay, so speak to that.
All right, well, I will let Christian talk to this because I think he has a lot to say. But I will say, because I'm in the same boat as you, I am a techie, and I am very, very digital. The thing that I have learned through this whole process is this push and pull between the tech and this actually kind of regression. I don't know, I wouldn't call
Easy.
it regression, but pull back on the spectrum back to in real life, physical, whether it's pieces, whether it's art, whether it's a whole bunch of different categories. And so what we found is that, and what we truly believe, that's never going to go away. So there will always be people like you, maybe like me, where our kind of life revolves around tech, but there's still going to be this desire to have something special from someone who did something unique with their hands. And I think more than anything, maybe people like us can appreciate that because you also know how easy it is to also create something that sells for $91 million that is like super simple really with a computer, and you're kind of scratching your head saying, where's the value, where something like what these artists are going to be producing really truly has that tangible value that you can look, feel, touch. And I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Yeah, and I'll just add a little bit to that, right? I mean, if anyone saw Sora come out on X, right, your mind is blown. But before that, it was DALL-E, it was generative art. But I think all of our artists that are on our beta list that I've been interviewing for years, talking about this idea as we've been kind of thinking about like an MVP, but a minimum scalable MVP, have all came back and said that all of this like tech really just makes the original, the real thing made by a real human even that much more valuable. So I think that's been a really cool like reinforcement and validation that we're on the right track.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this is fascinating, and I hope that you guys will come back and check in with us again, and I have some artists for you to talk to. So this is very exciting. Thank you. How about a round of applause for Kyle and Christian?